Okay, this is about cutting the Yummie. There's a little line right down the center. Go right about where the wings are on the front, and you cut in about a ½ inch to an inch, and then you go back about 2 inches and then stop. That gives you the opening for the Jobu hook, which is a size 10/0. Okay, this is going to take a couple of minutes. I'll show you how to do a 200-pound Yummie flyer. This is how we rig them, with the hook up on the back side instead of down below. That's the other way that a lot of people do it. I have a 5-foot pre-cut piece of 200-pound Iser line. I also have these already set up. I have a 10/0 Jobu hook and a 5 times strong 4/0 treble hook. These things are really strong. They don't bend at all. And then the 10/0 Jobus, really strong hooks, definitely. They take an H crimp from Jinkai and a 1.6 millimeter chafing spring. And then for the nose end, we used 2-ounce egg sinkers. Something you can get just about anywhere. And I use gel glue, just Loctite. You can get it at any hardware store, but it's got to be the gel glue. You don't want to use the liquid glue, it flows too much. Now these Yummie flyers, they come with a pre-made hole in the nose. Some of them are blocked, so you have to open them up. That one was nice and easy, and I pushed that 200-pound line through, and as you saw in the other video, I cut from right at the front of the wings with a razor blade back maybe 2 inches, and I cut it to where you can see down through it just enough that if you need to and that line comes out the bottom, you can push it back up through the top. I take out about 10 inches, take one of those H crimps, one of the 1.6 springs, chafing spring, push that through, and I go through the eye of the Jobu. It doesn't matter which side because it's a welded eye. If it weren't welded, you'd want to go in on the side that didn't have the break on it. Then I always use a lighter and I mushroom the end of that tag end. Flatten it out just a little bit so there's a little extra width so it won't just pull right through that sleeve. I always put the spring, the chafing spring, up to that side, and then I pull that down snug where that spring is equal on both ends. Take that and crimp it down. You want to always make sure you crimp the crimps in the center. Don't ever crimp it all the way out at the end, because that will cause a sharp edge that will cut the line. And if you're on a monster fish, a lifetime tuna, you don't want to lose that. Then you want to make sure that the springs are set opposite of each other, that they're not wrapped over each other. And I will take that and I will pull that from the nose end right up to the eye. Get that in there. You can actually push the eye down inside like that. Then I pull down. You have to be careful at this point. The big hook catches on the plastic so it doesn't just slip through easy. But you have to be careful because you don't want to pull that hook into your fingers. It would hurt. I haven't done it so far, thank goodness. But you want to pull that crimp, the H crimp, right to the nose. And then push it right back inside to where it's just inside. Make sure the Jobu hook is set down inside. You saw that go in there. There's a little ledge down in these that rests on, so it causes it to sit in there just perfectly. Then I also have a pre-cut piece that I didn't show you before. This is 6 inches long, and I use the crimps on both ends to crimp it to the Jobu hook and to the treble. And like I said, those are I have all pre-made, so they end up just like that. And it puts that treble hook right back where you want it on the tail end of that Yummie flyer. So now I take the super glue and I go in that opening, and I use it pretty well. I don't go sparingly. I put a lot of glue in there just to make sure that thing shuts tightly. Then you pinch it together as evenly as possible, and I'll hold it. And I take this treble hook and I say, okay, that's going to be the flat side that'll lay on it. I'll hold it up there and just kind of hold it together while I'm holding the Yummie together. I put a good amount of super glue on there, and then between the loop in the treble hook and the loop in the chafing spring, there's a little bit of play, so I try to get it right in the middle and then set that down on that tail. Now I can hold the tail, this front part's glued together. That right in there, just like that. That portion of it is done. Now to finish this whole thing off, we take that egg sinker, slide that down, take one of those H crimps and slide that down right behind it. Now the H crimps, they have to have 2 pieces of line going through them for them to work. So I cut a little tiny piece of 200 pound, just enough to get that in that crimp. And I'll keep it from sliding too freely. I push that right up to the edge. Now I will give about 1/4 of an inch of play for that 2-ounce weight to bounce back and forth when it's on a Yummie foot, when it's actually being pulled. So it bounces just a little bit. Final touch, up at the other end, the connecting end, take that chafing spring on there, come back through the H crimp, and again I mushroom the end down with a lighter on that tag end just to keep it from slipping through that crimp. Let that cool down a little bit. There you go. Doesn't take long. Spring right up to that side, pull it tight, crimp it down, and you have a completed product ready to fish. You can see there's a bit of work to it, but if you do it right, that's how you do it right, they're not going to come undone. You're not going to have a huge fish of a lifetime break off on you. And I just finish it off by tying up the loops with a zip tie. Have a good one.